Have you ever been deep in a Premiere Pro project and you just hit this creative wall? Imagine if there was a break open in case of emergency toolkit that was tailored for those exact scenarios. Well, today is your lucky day because I'm excited to present to you the most incredible, comprehensive list of the most awesome Premiere Pro transition tutorials in all of YouTube. Now hear this, each one of these transitions is specifically time-coded for your convenience with chapter markers. You can come back and refer back to any one at any time. Think of this as your go-to resource that is always there to reignite your creativity whenever you need it the most. Before we get started though, click on the link in the description to get over $700 worth of our sick effects packs for only $59. This bundle is called the Total Collection Bundle and it has a ton of stuff in it, including our ePrism packs. These are incredible looking prism and digital lens distortion effects right in Premiere Pro. You also get 3 of our cinematic titles packs, our TV screens and computer screens pack. You can literally put any footage that you want inside of these screens. And there's so many other awesome packs in this bundle. There's over 20 in total. In fact, if you want more information on this, just skip ahead in the chapter markers where it says Total Collection Bundle. All right guys, now let's jump into the transitions. This is a bad transition. This is a better transition. In this video, I'm going to tell you why that's the case, as well as give you a quick tutorial on 10 really cool transitions that you can utilize in your next music video project. How's it going guys? Joshua Lafemi here in beautiful Brisbane, Australia. An interesting rite of passage when you first start doing video editing effects is the concept of transitions. And the purpose that I use transitions is to draw one's attention from one clip to the next clip in a way that's pleasing visually. In this video, we're going to actually be talking about a technique that I've talked about in the past called deflection to transition from one clip to the next clip. So what is deflection? Deflection is a type of transition that allows your eye in the fraction of a second to be actually distracted as it leaves that first clip. After that quick distraction, the eye is immediately led on to the next clip. This distraction is just a clever way to hide the cut and makes the transition seem a lot smoother than a normal hard cut. Soft deflection takes place over a longer period of time, such as this smooth crossfade. Hard deflection, on the other hand, takes place over a short period of time, such as this quick overlay. The specific subcategory of deflection that we'll be covering today is the cross-dissolve transition. Let's jump right in. Hey guys, you are cross-dissolving wrong. In fact, let's just use this entire first video in this series to talk about just cross-dissolving. I've actually talked about cross-dissolving in the past, but I want to go a little bit more in detail in this video. So what is a cross-dissolve? A cross-dissolve is a gradual transition from one clip to another. And cross-dissolves done the wrong way just look freaking cheesy. We've all seen them. They look like those cheap transitions from like say Windows Movie Maker or iMovie. So first things first, most of the time when you cross-dissolve, try not to cross-dissolve 2 clips that are on the same track. Instead, cross-dissolve stacked clips that are on top of each other. Second, in my opinion, longer cross-dissolves usually look a little bit better than shorter ones. I try to keep my cross-dissolves at a minimum 1 second long. These longer cross-dissolves just seem to appear a little bit more cinematic and they harken back to the classic era of cinema. So let's get into a slightly more complicated situation and attempt something that I like to call the show high show. This is a useful cross-dissolving technique that I used in this video that I directed for Mickey Singh a few years ago called Cond. It involves establishing your scene by dialing into a grand wide shot. We'll call this shot A. We then temporarily hide shot A with shots B and C, with the top clip always having a 50% opacity. We then cross-dissolve out of shots B and C, now revealing a close-up of shot A. This is a great visual instrument that can be used to sneak a quick performance shot or two within a long B-roll shot. The third technique you can try is something called a cropped show hide show. This is almost identical to the last tip, except the overlaid shots are usually cropped and only cover a portion of shot A. For example, in this shot, when you can see Mickey Singh singing, no pun intended, you can see the overlaying shot of the girl, Dana, only over half of that original shot A base footage. Guys, the fourth technique we're going to talk about is something called anchored movement. It basically involves placing a more dynamic clip at half opacity over a more static bottom clip. The resulting contrast seems to create an appealing transition that emphasizes the movement in the top clip. The next cross-dissolving technique is something that I like to call lens reflection. It mimics a usually unwanted in-camera optical occurrence when light hits the glass of your lens and causes reflections or glare. This will result in you seeing a flipped or reflected version of clip A on top of clip B for a few frames while the transition occurs. You can do this by duplicating clip A and stretching it over clip B. Then go over to Effects and place a horizontal flip on that duplicated clip. Place cross dissolves on both ends of that duplicated clip, and lastly, place a cross dissolve between the original clip A and clip B. Next we have lens reflection with heat refraction. This mimics the distorted image effect you get in really hot weather on top of the lens reflection effect. Yes, in this case I paired this effect with actual desert footage, but don't feel like such a literal association is needed when using this cross dissolve technique. Start off with the lens reflection build in your timeline, then on the top track, add a sphere effect on the duplicated clip A. Change the radius of the sphere to 1200 and make sure it covers the entire frame. See how it kind of accentuates that feeling of an in-camera reflection on a curved lens? Now add a wave warp effect to that same clip and expand the wave width to 220 and bring down the wave speed to 0.8. This completes the heated air distortion look. I call the 7th technique overlay for texture. It involves you cross-dissolving a serene clip at say 50% opacity on top of another serene clip to add texture to the shot. This is great for filling in otherwise boring areas of negative space. It's also great for intros and dramatic B-roll moments when it's necessary to introduce multiple narrative moments simultaneously. The 8th technique is called repeated reflections. This transition works best when used with a main subject on a solid background. It again imitates an in-camera lens reflection and in true deflection form distracts your eye just long enough for the next clip to appear. I found the resulting seemingly seamless transition pleasing to the eye and perfect for those fast-paced edits. It's easily created by duplicating shot A, placing it in the track above, reducing the opacity to 50%, moving the position of the clip to the right, then increasing the scale to hide the edges of the clip. Finally, I place a cross dissolve on the end of the clip, and then do this again 2 more times. The 9th technique is called repeated blurred reflections. And it's identical to the previous technique except with a directional blur effect on all the duplicated clips on top of shot A. Make sure the direction is set at 0 and the blur length is set to 43. And guys, the 10th technique is called dynamic repeated reflections, and it's very similar to the last 2 examples. It creates more of a dynamic swinging movement with your reflected main footage and can be created by duplicating shot A and placing it in the shot above, reducing the opacity to 50%, then keyframing the clip to move to the right. Everyone watching right now, I want to now teach you about flicker transitions. Check it out in this next video in this series. And if you actually made it this far to the video, please make sure to write your name and your hometown in the comments below. This is a bad transition. This is a better transition. In this video, I'm going to tell you why that's the case, as well as give you a quick tutorial on 10 really cool transitions that you can utilize in your next music video project. How's it going, guys? Joshua Lafemi here in beautiful Brisbane, Australia. An interesting rite of passage when you first start doing video editing effects is the concept of transitions. And the purpose that I use transitions is to draw one's attention from one clip to the next clip in a way that's pleasing visually. In this video, we're going to actually be talking about a technique that I've talked about in the past called deflection to transition from one clip to the next clip. So what is deflection? Deflection is a type of transition that allows your eye in the fraction of a second to be actually distracted as it leaves that first clip. After that quick distraction, the eye is immediately led on to the next clip. This distraction is just a clever way to hide the cut and makes the transition seem a lot smoother than a normal hard cut. Soft deflection takes place over a longer period of time, such as this smooth crossfade. Hard deflection, on the other hand, takes place over a short period of time, such as this quick overlay. Let's jump right in. First things first, I want to remind you what a flicker transition is. We haven't talked about it in a few years, but there's a great chance that you might be doing it wrong. What does it actually mean to flicker footage? All flickering consists of is taking away individual frames from a specific part of an individual shot. Now, I see a lot of beginners doing flickering like this, and why does that suck? It's because you're flickering on still footage that has absolutely no dynamic elements like camera movement. It just gives off this dull amateur look. So flickering can be done, of course, when you're transitioning in between scenes, but it can also be done in a place when you're trying to emphasize some sort of environmental instability. So in the beginning, when you're trying to decide whether to flicker in between footage or in the middle of footage, please only flicker within these 5 situations. These 5 situations allow the shot to be broken up and create this engaging, dynamic look of instability. And these 10 specific flicker transitions that we'll be discussing in this video will be able to be categorized within these 5 situations. Situation 1 consists of flickering on speed ramps. First, you may ask, okay, how do I do a speed ramp? Well, let's say you have 2 consecutive clips, clip A and clip B. Use the blade tool to cut off the end of clip A, then right click on the clip and select speed and duration. In this case, we're going to set the speed to 400%. Now zoom in on your timeline and with the blade tool, cut 1 frame wide holes in both pieces of footage where they both touch. This is called a basic speed ramp flicker. The next is similar and called the overexposed speed ramp flicker. Simply add an adjustment layer on top of the flickered frames in the last example, then throw a Lumetri color effect on the adjustment layer and increase the exposure level. Now we have the inverted speed ramp chroma flicker. Revert back to that basic speed ramp flicker that we did before and then throw on the invert effect, which you can find in the video effects folder on a couple of the individual cutout frames, and voila! Next we have the blurred speed ramp flicker. Again, revert back to the basic speed ramp flicker and add an adjustment layer on top of the flickered frames. Add a Gaussian blur to that adjustment layer. Set the blurriness to 260 and make sure to check repeat edge pixels. Okay, we're done with situation 1, which was of course flickering on speed ramps. Now we're moving on to situation 2, which is flickering on camera movement. This involves adding a flicker between shots that incorporate either actual camera or artificial camera movement created in post. Remember, you're flickering to try to emphasize environmental instability over the course of a transition, just to make a more visually engaging viewing experience. Like speed ramping, camera movement also offers an engagingly unstable feeling to the shot. Situation 3 involves flickering on secondary footage instead of simply a black background like we've been doing previously. Situation 4 is flickering on an offset overlay. If you've watched past videos, you'll remember that an offset overlay is really simple. Say you have 2 consecutive pieces of footage, shot A and shot B. An offset overlay happens when you create a duplicate of shot A, drag it on top of shot A, then you'd right click on that duplicated clip and click on speed and duration, then increase the speed by say 400%. Now reduce the opacity of that duplicated clip down to say 50%, then drag it to the end of shot A where it touches shot B. As far as the flicker goes, all you gotta do is flicker that duplicated clip on top. Situation 5 is something that I call holeless flickering. This type of flickering kind of differs because it strays away from the typical cutting holes in footage model, because there's actually a number of other ways you can create that same flickering look but just using different methods. We're going to discuss a couple of those methods. The first method is called the flip flicker. This literally involves flipping your footage every other frame. So you're still cutting up the footage into sections 1 frame wide, but you're not removing any frames like before. You're just simply applying a horizontal flip effect to every other frame of footage instead. The second method is called changing your field of view. This again involves you cutting up the footage into frame by frame pieces, but again leaving all the frames in place and simply changing the scale or the position of each of these frames. Okay, everyone watching this video, I'm gonna now teach you about flash overlay transitions. Check it out in the next video in this series. And if you made it to the end of this video, please make sure to put your IG name and your hometown in the comments below. Have you ever been editing a music video and noticed that you absolutely suck at high energy transitions? We've actually been talking about transitions all week, and this is video 3. Today we're talking about why you might want to incorporate something called flash overlay transitions into your next editing project. How's it going, guys? My name is Joshua Lafemi here in beautiful Brisbane, Australia. I feel like we often mimic past in-camera film or lens effects in our modern editing effects to create a sense of legitimacy through an established visual norm. And it's funny how that's the case, because a lot of these effects that we're actually copying were actually unwanted effects back in the day. Think about the popularity of artificially created film burns, light leaks, or even lens flares overlays. Back in the day, these were things that professional filmmakers tried their hardest to actually avoid. Flash overlay transitions kind of remind me of light shining through a damaged film segment as it rushes through a film projector. But actual production veterans, feel free to have your say in the comments. I have 5 really easy examples of flash overlays that you can make. The first one is called a basic flash overlay. Let's say you have 2 consecutive shots, shot A and shot B. Cut the end off of shot A and bring it to the track above and extend it over shot B. Bring down the opacity of that duplicated shot to 50%, then set the blending mode to screen, and there you go. Next method is called the reverse flash overlay. This transition is built in the exact same way as the basic flash overlay, except you gotta reverse the speed of the duplicated track on top. This creates a slight elastic effect to the transition, and in my opinion gives it a little bit more energy. The third method is called the pop-up reverse flash overlay. This transition is built the exact same way as the reverse flash overlay, except there is an adjustment layer placed on top of the duplicated clip. Now go to Video Effects, then to the Distort folder, and then drag the transform effect over to that adjustment layer. Increase the scale slightly, and voila, you'll get something like this. The fourth method is called the smooth reverse flash overlay. This transition is built the exact same way as the reverse flash overlay, except the duplicated clip is extended a little bit more over shot B. Then a nice long cross dissolve needs to be placed at the very end. The last method is called the reverse flash flicker overlay. Just like before, let's say you have 2 consecutive shots, shot A and shot B. Cut the end off of shot A, bring it to the track above and extend it over shot B. Change the blending mode of that duplicated shot to screen. Right-click on the duplicated layer and reverse the speed. Lastly, chop 1 frame segments out of the end of that duplicated shot. Guys, if you ask me, flash overlay transitions are pretty dope, and we just finished our 3 video series that we did this month talking about different types of deflection transitions. But I want to say that there are so many other types of transitions that I want you to check out that we've been covering on this channel for years. I want you to take a look at the playlist below in the description called Olufemi Transitions. Here you'll see tons of videos where each of our teachers talk about a specific transition that I think you should check out. In this video, I talk about track matte transitions. In this video from a few years back, I talk about my favorite transition pack because you and I know most transition packs suck. In this really popular transition from Dave, he talks about paper rip transitions. And I love this tutorial from Herman where he talks about multiple transitions that you can use in your music videos. I'm traveling back home to the States for a few weeks, guys, so look out for some dope content being shot stateside. That's it, guys. And if you actually made it to the end of this video, please make sure to add your IG name and your hometown to the comments below. So guys, a couple of years ago, my bro and mentor, Director Matt Alonzo, brought me into the world of track matte transitions and specifically showed me how he used them in the music video and advertising space. This is a track matte transition.
You stick out of the crowd, baby, it's a no-brainer. It ain't that hard to choose. Him or me, be for real, baby, it's a no-brainer. You got your mind on loose. Go hard and watch the sunrise. One night to change your whole life. Off top, drop top.
Now these music videos that you just saw that you've probably seen before in the past didn't originally have track matte transitions. I actually added them after the fact. And I don't know, I think they look a little bit more spicy, a little bit more interesting with these track matte transitions added, but that's for you to decide. Let's keep going. In this tutorial, I'm going to tell you what a track matte transition is. I'll tell you how they differ from normal video transitions. I'm going to show you how to make track matte transitions from scratch in Premiere Pro with no plugins. And lastly, I'm going to show you a real world example regarding how you can use these transitions. Now it's time to get this tutorial going. Before we start, please make sure to just click the like button down below. And while you're at it, maybe click the subscribe and notification bell if you want to continue getting videos like this. I'll give you a second. Let's get started. The track matte transition is an incredibly surprisingly convenient way to transition from clip to clip. You can make these transitions right in Premiere. Now, before we talk about track matte transitions, I'm going to talk about transitions in general, and I'm going to tell you 4 issues that I have with the transitions that people usually use. Number 1, many transitions are imposing, they are antiquated looking, and just overall unattractive. Number 2, some of the effects heavy transition packs have the tendency to slow down timeline playback. Number 3, many transitions have confusing and often time-consuming construction workflows that just take too long to place inside your timeline. And number 4, many transitions are not easily adjustable or tweakable once they're already constructed inside your timeline. The track matte transition technique that you're about to learn solves many, I'd say a lot, not all of those issues. A lot of these transitions you'll realize are really fast and almost invisible. I love that. In my opinion, some of them almost resemble slightly extended hard cuts rather than actual transitions. They also don't slow down your timeline due to how lightly they're constructed. You're gonna see what I mean by this soon. Also, constructing them in your timeline is relatively very easy to do. All you gotta do is apply one effect onto one clip. And they're very, very adjustable. That's like half the fun. I almost think of them, and this is how Matt describes them too, as like DIY transitions rather than rigid slap-on transitions. Now guys, these track matte transitions work best with fast-paced edits. I cannot emphasize that enough. Don't use these for really slow-paced edits. I would recommend using either hard cuts or crossfades for those. I have a whole tutorial on that, and I'll put that in the description. Also, make sure that you render these transitions out. You don't want a yellow line, you want a green line, or else they may not appear accurate. Also, these transitions look completely different depending on which clip comes first, the bottom clip or the top clip. You gotta place the clips in the right order in order for the transition to look the way it needs to look. And also in this tutorial, we're gonna be dealing with 1920 by 1080 timelines. You'll notice though that if you're working with a timeline that's in another resolution, it's going to be really easy to adjust the transition to fit your timeline. Now, a quick side note, our team has actually released a massive pack of 100 fully built out track matte transitions that you can get a pretty nice discount on in the link below, but don't even worry about that yet. You can buy that if you want, it'll save a little bit of time. You'll get a massive load of them, but this is what this tutorial is focused on. I'm going to teach you how to make these track matte transitions all by yourself from scratch. So before I explain what a track matte transition is, I'm going to tell you about the effect in Premiere called track matte key. When you're using the Premiere Pro effect track matte key, what you're essentially doing is you're transferring the transparency information from one clip and you're applying it to another clip. So let's say I have clip A of a moving white shape on top and clip B of, say, a performer on the bottom. Now let's take a look at this clip A on the top layer. This is of course a clip that is basically a animated white shape that, you know, where I basically just keyframed the mask path in Premiere. It's obvious that this area right here is transparent, of course. And then this white area where the actual shape is not transparent. So check this out. With Premiere Pro's track matte key effect, you'll be able to transfer the transparency of this top clip, aka clip A, down to the bottom clip, clip B, of the performer. I'm going to say this again for clarity. Top clip is transparent here. This area of transparency is now being transferred to the bottom clip, which was previously transparent nowhere. So how do we do this? First, of course, we lay clip A on top of clip B. Then we go to the effects tab and we search for track matte key. We then drag the track matte key effect onto the bottom clip, aka clip B, with the performer. After that, select the clip and click on the effects control panel. Here you'll find all of the track matte key properties. Now this is important, we're now going to select the video track number where the top track, aka clip A with the moving white shape, is located. This is going to serve as the matte layer. See how it says matte layer right here? Basically, you're again telling Premiere Pro that you want the track matte key effect to transfer the transparency from the top layer, which is clip A, the moving shape, down to the bottom layer, which is clip B, the performer. Now before we officially move on, let me actually show you how to create the animated white shape in clip A. An animated shape can be created right in Premiere Pro by animating a mask on a white solid using keyframes. Go ahead and right click on the project window, go to New Item, and then click on color matte. After that, click OK, and then change the color to white. Then click OK. You can name it if you want, and then click OK. After that, you're going to click on the clip and you're going to go into the Effects Controls tab. You're then going to click on the 4-point polygon mask tool and then bring the mask feather to 0. Then click on the stopwatch for mask path and that'll automatically create your first keyframe. And then go ahead and move forward in your timeline and then change the shape as you desire. As you go in between the two keyframes, you see that the shape is going to be animated. Okay, so let's move on. Stay with me now, we're going to add a new clip to the mix. Let's call this clip C. We're going to add it below clip B. So check this out. We're going to actually start out, your playhead is going to start out with this new clip C, and we're going to quickly transition to clip B using this track matte key effect. That's going to be using clip A, which is above clip B, of course, to work. So again, stick with me guys. As more of the white shape covers clip B, more of it is going to be revealed and therefore cover clip C below it. This entire process that uses the track matte key effect in Premiere to transition from two different clips is what's called the track matte transition technique. Now here's some extra things that I did to add a little extra zing. Right click in your project window, go to new item again, and then go to adjustment layer. Click OK. And then drag that adjustment layer over clip A, aka your animated white shape. Now you're gonna go over to the effects tab and you're gonna type in directional blur. Drag the directional blur effect onto that adjustment layer. You can then go into the effect settings and change the blur length to your liking. I then went back to effects and I'm now going to put the lens distortion effect as well on this adjustment layer. So type in lens distortion effect, drag the effect over to the adjustment layer, and I'm actually going to add some keyframes to this effect. This effect is going to basically curve your image over the course of this effect. So we're going to animate that by clicking on the stopwatch of curvature. We're going to start our curvature at 0 so that there is no effect. We're going to go to our first keyframe point, change it to -23. It's going to stay at -23 for our next point, and then near the end of the clip we're going to animate it so that the curvature goes back down to 0. And this is how it looks like. As you can see, we have the normal track matte transition, and then we put two effects on an adjustment layer over the length of the transition to give this transition an even smoother, doper look. So I just taught you how to make a track matte transition from scratch. Here's the deal. If you want, you can actually purchase the 100 track matte transition effects pack that we've actually already made. Now guys, if we haven't told you already, anytime that you actually purchase from our store, it really helps the channel out. It literally keeps these lights on, it pays the rent. It allows all of us to continue making free videos for you every single day. So you'll see that in every single one of these transitions, we've spent the time to make everyone completely unique and awesome. And guess what? We're gonna sweeten the deal a little bit for you. If you go and get this pack today, I'm gonna actually throw in the Olufemi Creative Pack in there with you for free. This includes 3 additional transition packs, the box lens transition pack, the camera snapping effects pack, and also the identity transitions collection, and all 3 of my light leak packs. These actually have a special place in my heart. These are actually the first digital products that I ever made on the channel. The Olufemi Creative Pack is valued at over $119 alone, and again, you'll get it free when you purchase the 100 track matte transitions pack today. Everything comes with an unlimited license, and that allows you to use the transitions and light leaks as often as you want in as many videos as you want. Okay, that is the ad for this video, ad complete. What I want to do is I want to continue and show you some real life examples where you can use track matte transitions, whether you buy them or you make them yourself. This will only take a few minutes. I'll give you some additional tips as well. Let's go into Premiere. All right, guys, we have learned a ton about track matte transitions at this point. And now I'm going to show you how to use these transitions in the real world using a music video that my team actually made a couple years ago. What's interesting is you're going to actually notice that this music video is a little bit slower than most of the videos that you're going to be using track matte transitions for. Now, remember, I said that These transitions are actually best for fast cutting edits. You don't usually want to use them for too slow edits. I again recommend hard cuts or crossfades for really slow video edits. I would say that this video that we're about to watch is actually the slowest type of edit that I'd recommend for a track matte transition technique like this. If you remember back at the ASAP Rocky video that we watched, that would be kind of like the normal fast-paced video that you'd be usually using track matte transitions for. But this is actually gonna be an awesome challenge, and I already kind of previewed this, and I think that we're gonna actually find some pretty cool transitions to use for this video to make it really nice and spice it up. So we're gonna go over really quickly some tips that we're gonna then actually use in action when we're actually editing this video. You remember that you need to render each of these transitions out to actually see what they really look like. You don't want the bar to be yellow, you want the bar to be green when you play through each transition. Now, before I talk about the second tip, I want to show you this, that I actually have two projects open. I have the 100 track matte transitions pack project file that you get once you download that pack. We're just using these transitions because they're already built out, but you can be using any track matte transition that you built from doing this tutorial. And then I also have another project open where I'm just playing around with these clips, these music video clips. So if you have the 100 track matte transitions pack, as it's gonna say in the instructional video, you're gonna go over to the master sequence folder to go to the master sequence, and you're gonna see literally 100 transitions all laid out in a beautiful line. There's so many options, it's amazing. Let's just check through them real quick. I'll show you. Each one of these are extremely original and awesome. And you can see I'm kind of using the same clips for the most part to preview each of these transitions, so you can really see each of them and how they contrast with each other. And you can see, this video that I shot in my apartment in Australia actually is a lot more fast-paced than the video that we're editing right now. So the next tip is, when we say go over to this master sequence and we take one of these transitions and we apply it to our real life scenario in this music video, it's important to take a look at the configuration of the clips that the transition is going over. I want to show you an example. See, in this case, we have the first clip is on top and the second clip is on bottom. In this case, we have the first clip is on the bottom and the second clip is on top. Now, this is important. Take a note of this. This transition works best, and in my opinion, it should only be used when the first clip is on top and the second clip is on the bottom. In this case, this transition works ideally when the first clip is on the bottom and the second clip is on top. I've given you a lot of options, because but when you're in the real world, you're gonna have times when the first clip is on the bottom, and the second clip is on top. And in this case, the first clip's on top and the second clip's on the bottom. And so I have a lot of options for you regarding which transition that you use. So if there's a transition that you really like, but the configuration is opposite what it is here in the master sequence, well, all you got to do is just take this clip and put it on top. And now you have the first clip on top and the second clip on the bottom. I'm going to show you a real life example of that and what you need to do in that case in a little bit later. Don't worry, this is going to be really easy. It may seem a little bit confusing at first, but it's going to just be like clockwork once we get into the crux of things. So next tip that I'm going to give you is, these transitions are made for a 1920 by 1080 sequence. But if you are using a sequence that's bigger or smaller, it's actually really easy. All you got to do is go into, this is the transition. The transition, of course, is made up of this animated white shape in this nested sequence, as well as an adjustment layer on top. All you got to do is go into the adjustment layer and go into the nested sequence, and then go into the adjustment layer and then increase the scale. You'll just increase the scale until this entire transition fills, until both the adjustment layer and this nested layer fills the entire frame of your, say, bigger resolution size of your sequence. Or if your sequence is smaller, then you may need to actually reduce the scale. Next tip is, make sure that you understand that not all of these transitions are going to work perfectly with every piece of footage that you put them on top of. Some of these transitions will work best with really fast cuts, and some of these transitions will work better with slightly slower cuts. But that's why you have literally 100 options. So have no fear, have fun and just experiment. That's what this is all about. What you're gonna realize is you will develop favorites. Some transitions that you love more than others, and you'll actually secretly end up using them a lot more, you realize. It's part of the fun. Okay, so now let's get into this actual tutorial, and we're gonna actually cut this music video, or we're gonna actually transition between each of these clips in this music video. You can already tell that I actually cut up the raw footage for you already, and not only did I do that, I also actually overlaid the footage for you. Because see, as you know, track matte transitions require two pieces of footage to be actually overlaid over each other, and the transition happens over the length of the clip that is overlaid over or under the other clip. So what I've done is I've already actually marked the places with markers, the places where I think a transition would work best. And again, let's just play through the clip. Awesome. All right, let's have some fun. Let's go over to the master sequence. And let's just start trying out some of these. Looks pretty good. Let's look at this one. Nice, nice. All right, let's go over to, I already actually previewed this tutorial beforehand, and I want to try 17 for this first transition. It's 15, 16. I'm using plus and minus on my keyboard to zoom in on the timeline, by the way. And let's do this first this way. I'm just gonna literally copy the entire thing. We're gonna do this first this way, just for the sake of simplicity. And I'm gonna paste it, Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac. Okay, so for this first one, I wanna use 17, transition 17. And which is this one. So as you can see, look at the configuration. In master sequence, configuration is first one's on the bottom, second one's on the top. Okay, it's the same thing here, of course. And so here, there we go. In the real world example, I have the first one on the bottom and the second one on top. So I don't have to do anything weird. I don't have to do any flipping. This should work perfectly. Let's play through it. See that little white thing? That white thing shouldn't be there. Because we wanna actually, this is actually the white shape that you can see blurred out because of the adjustment layer on top. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually do what we need to do. We're gonna make sure that we go into effects, and we're gonna type track matte, and then track matte key shows up, and then we're gonna bring that over here. You always wanna bring track matte. Let's delete this. We don't need that anymore. You wanna always put track matte key on the top clip, and then we're gonna go over to matte. And we're gonna go always, usually 99% of the time it's gonna be this bottom one, video 3. And we're just gonna confirm, yep, video 3 is where the animated shape is, matte 17. We're on the green nested sequence. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to I'm gonna click O on my keyboard, click I on my keyboard, in and out points, and I'm going to render. I'm gonna go to sequence, render in and out, and just render that part of my timeline. You always want to play these transitions in green when everything's rendered out, not in yellow, in green. Beautiful, that looked really, really good. Okay, now I'm gonna put another transition here. We're gonna go over to our master sequence. I already know beforehand that I want this to be transition 17. I mean, I already did 17, 24, 22, 23, 24, 24. Let's take a look at how this looks. Ooh, it looks amazing. Okay, let's copy this entire thing like we did last time. Over here. Let's paste it a little bit over here. Okay, cool. So configurations, the first thing we look at, right? First clip is on the top, second clip is on the bottom. Okay, first clip is on the top and second clip is on the bottom. Okay, so let's mix stuff. I'm gonna mix something up. I want to, what if we're in the situation where the first clip is on the bottom, not on the top, and the second clip is on top? What happens if we do it wrong? I'm gonna screw it up just to show you what happens. Okay, cool. So let's play through it. Oh, it's all white. It looks bad. You can see basically the white shape because there's no track matte key effect going on. Okay, so the reason why this doesn't work is obviously because I don't have any track mat key on the top clip. So let's do that and see if that fixes it. And then we're gonna, of course, go to mat, go to the bottom one, track 4. That's of course where the green moving shape is. And let's see if that fixes it. In fact, let me even do this. I'm gonna even render this out so that there's no yellow, so it's all green. Everything should be checked, right? We have the track mat key on here, everything's rendered out. Is it gonna work? Ah, it looks bad, it looks weird. This is all black now. What did we do wrong? This clip is on the second clip is on the top. The first clip is on the bottom, the second clip is on the top. When we remember over here for this transition, the first clip needs to be on the top and the second clip needs to be on the bottom. So I kind of gave it away when I messed it up in the first place, and I told you that I was gonna mess it up, but let's bring this clip down to the bottom now. So the first clip is on top and the second clip is on the bottom. Let's bring this transition down. Let's cut it so it's flush with the edge. And now there's no more black. This is starting to look a lot better. But we actually have another issue. Check this out. We have track mat key on the top clip like we're supposed to, but we also have track mat key on the bottom clip. We do not want the track mat key on the bottom clip. We only want it on the top clip. Let's delete it from the bottom clip. There we go. Now everything looks a lot better. There we go. So now I'm going to, of course, again, render in and out. Beautiful, beautiful. Now it works. All right, good job, guys. Hopefully you guys figured that out. Now we're gonna go to our next place. Our next place, I want to put a cut. I want to put a transition right here. Let's go over to master sequence, and I know already that I want to use. I already figured it out before. I want to use transition 26. I'm going to use transition 26. Check this out, guys. We're going to do a little shortcut. We're in the master sequence. I want you to take note beforehand, before we even copy this transition over, that it starts with the configuration, starts with the first clip being on top, second clip being on the bottom. Copy that. Remember that. First clip on top, second clip on bottom. Say that with me. First clip on top, second clip on bottom. We already have here first clip on top, second clip on bottom. So we know that everything's going to work perfectly. We're going to copy it, Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac. And we don't even have to copy the whole thing. We just have to copy, we don't need to copy the whole thing like we have before. We only need to copy the transition, because we don't need these two clips as reference anymore, because we just remembered it in our head. Now at this point, you guys know, top clip, you want to put the track mat key on the top clip. You want to change the mat to the very bottom, video 3. That works perfectly by V3, perfect. Are we forgetting anything else? Yep, we need to render out. O for out, I for in. Let's just render the entire thing. And then let's go to sequence, render in and out. Beautiful. Let's delete these, we don't need these anymore. Let's keep playing it. Why did it stop? Let's All right, I want another transition here. For this one, let's go back to master sequence. I already know that I want to check out 42. Let's check 42 out. It's 39, 40, 41, 42. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, let's copy this. Oh, configuration. First clip is on top, second clip is on bottom. Remember that. First clip on top, second clip is on the bottom. Does that work? First clip is on top, second clip is on the bottom. Yep, so we don't have to do any changes. Let's slide this over here. And then on the top clip, of course, put our track mat key. And then we're gonna go over to mat. Go to the very bottom, V3. Yep, that works. V3 is where our nested sequence is. Okay, and then are we forgetting anything other than rendering? I don't think so. Sequence, render in and out. Okay, we won't preview the whole thing. Let's just go to the very end. I want to put one more transition here. I already know that I want that transition. Go to master sequence. I want that to be 44. Plus on the keyboard to zoom in the timeline. Woo, that's a good one. Okay. Configuration, first one's on top, second one's on the bottom. Copy, Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. Go over to Control V or Command V to paste if you're on a Mac, and first one's on the top, second one's on the bottom. Perfect, so that's good. Don't have to do any changes. Just have to go to our top clip and go to Track Matte key, bring it on here. Remember, go to Matte, go to the very bottom, V3. Everything should be good. Let's go minus on the keyboard to zoom out. Let's bring our in points at the beginning, out points at the end. Go to sequence, render in and out. Guys, thank you so much for watching all of our videos in the channel, whether they are made by me or any of our other incredibly talented teachers. Lastly, as always, remember to keep it chill.
Yo, it's Herman here on the Olufemi channel, bringing you some more ingredients to spice up your music video. Now, you guys were pretty crazy about the 10 easy music video effects last time, so we're talking transitions today. I don't know about you, but ever since I started directing and video editing, I've always been hunting for these eye-catching transitions that would just send chills down my spine. So I want to share some popular transitions you may have seen in music videos that are easy to do, but instantly make your music videos look quality. With that said, let's get started with transition number 1. The whip pan transition is probably the most popular transition used, and for a good reason. When done well, it looks like the camera whips from one scene to another like this. All it takes is whipping your camera to one direction at the end of your shot, and then whipping the camera in the same direction for your second shot to frame up your subject. In your favorite editing program, you just have to line up the shots so that the motion blur glues them together into a seamless whip pan. This is a very easy technique, but don't underestimate its effectiveness. Now, before you go out and accidentally knock someone out with your camera, there's a very big tip I want to give you so that your whip pans don't look amateur. And this is a tip that you should apply to all the transitions here, which is to motivate your transitions. I know how fun it could be to try out new ideas and then see how cool they look, but if they are not motivated in any way, your transitions are going to look like everyone else's. For example, even if you have your subject look at the direction that you're whip panning, it makes it feel like they're in control of that world. Transition number 2 is to use a graphic match cut. What that means is to have the subject match the same shape or position in both your shots. So if your previous shot had something circular in the middle of the frame, then your next shot could be a different object, but also the same shape. Even matching the position of the artist would work, especially in a dance sequence. Now, if you combine this with the action match cut, which is matching the same movement, then you've got something that looks absolutely epic. Cut the two shots together and boom, you're winning music video editor of the year. Don't quote me on that. I'm not responsible if you don't, but I hope that you do. Using slow shutter footage is a great way to glue your shots together, and it's an effect that's been used a lot recently. All you have to do is turn your shutter down on your camera, point it at something like neon lights or LED lights, hit the record button, and then slap that clip between but on top of your two shots that you want the transition to happen. Change the blending mode to whatever you think looks cool, and you've got a cool, gritty transition. The best part about this, along with the previous two transitions, is that it doesn't matter what kind of camera that you shoot this on. You could shoot this on a potato as long as you can change the shutter speed. I wonder how that would look like. Overlays are a great way to add some grittiness to your video, especially marker overlays. In this case, I'm grabbing some from Envato Elements because they have a wide variety of film marker overlays that I can easily download, slap into my timeline in less time than it takes to finish the sentence. All I'm doing is lining up the overlay between my two shots and changing the blending mode to something that looks good. And if you want to get sick assets like this, you can get your first month of Envato Elements for only $9, which is 70% off. And it's as easy as looking up what you want, going to the clip that you want to download, and just hitting the big shiny download button. And there's always so many options on Envato Elements. Speaking of overlays, you can use other types for different themed music videos. For example, glitch overlays. Again, I'm grabbing mine from Envato Elements and slapping it right on top of my two clips. To add some variance, you can also use the glitch overlay footage as a matte so that your footage will also flicker. In this case, I used another glitch clip that I got from this pack, and then I chopped near the end of my first clip that I want to transition from, and I added a track matte key effect on that. Changed the matte to the glitch clip and the composite using to matte Luma. Now you've got a more intense CRT glitch transition. Having an object wipe through frame in the foreground makes a great way to transition into another scene. All you have to do is mask the object that covers the frame, and you can do this in your favorite video editor as long as it allows masking. In this case, I'm using Premiere Pro. Go frame by frame and erase the areas that your object doesn't cover. Now slap your second clip underneath that, and you've got a seamless transition that happens before you know it, like a ninja attack. We should call this the ninja transition. You're right, let's not call it that. The strobe transition can either be done in camera by having the light strobe, or it can be done in the edit by playing with the brightness. All you have to do is apply your favorite effect that can adjust the brightness of your shot, and in this case, I'm using Lumetri Color in Premiere Pro. I like to apply this to an adjustment layer so that I can chop it up and sprinkle it on top of your two transitioning shots. You could also do just a single white flash by keyframing the brightness so that it feels kind of like a flashbang. A great way to motivate this is if someone is taking a picture in the shot, I don't know, maybe like paparazzi, and then the flash is going off and the flash transitions into the next shot. Let's act it out. No, please. I'm in the middle of my morning coffee. What kind of acting is that? Next up is the opposite of the white flashing strobe effect, which is the black flashing effect. A super easy way to do this in your favorite editor is to simply cut away some frames between your two shots. It's a variation of the previous transition, but adds a level of intensity, usually in darker themed music videos. The inverted color flash is another variation to the previous transition in which you simply invert the colors or change the hue of it. You can mix and match them for something truly unique, but I like to have something like the color balance HSL effect applied to an adjustment layer, keyframing it so that it keeps changing color, and then chopping it up. Then apply an invert effect to another adjustment layer and have that happen in the moment that it transitions. Anyone who watches your music video who might be feeling a little drowsy will instantly wake up when they see this, like an espresso shot. Maybe we can call this the espresso shot transition. I gotta stop. Finally, we have a transition that combines two effects that I use a lot in After Effects, the wiggle effect and the echo effect. This transition I haven't personally seen used before, but I thought it would look pretty sick and it's really easy to do. Now you will need After Effects, so if you have that, open it up and drop your two clips into a new composition. Once you figure out where you want the transition to happen, pre-compose the two layers by hitting Ctrl-Shift-C. Add a motion tile effect and bump the number up in the output width and output height. Be sure to also check off the mirror edges box. Once that's done, add a wiggle position effect and keyframe the wiggle speed and wiggle amount so that it becomes more intense as it reaches the transition point, and then bring it back down to normal once it reaches your second shot. The motion tile effect we added prevents seeing the edge of the shot when the wiggle happens. It's a handy little trick if you ever use the wiggle effect for other things. Lastly, we add the echo effect, and make sure it's at the very bottom in your effects control panel because all the effects are applied from top to bottom. Keyframe the number of echoes so that it starts at 0 when the wiggle hasn't started yet. Go to the transition point and then bump that number up to something like 5. Then drop it back down to 0 when the wiggle ends. The echo operator can be changed to whatever that you think looks good, but usually minimum or maximum will give you a trippy effect. When all that's done, hit the spacebar to play it back and admire the insane transition you just made. There you guys have it, 10 music video transitions that are super easy to do. Let me know in the comments what your favorite transition was. Make sure you subscribe to the Olufemi channel so that you don't miss the next video from the other talented creators here, and hitting that bell notification will help as well. If you want to check out what I'm personally up to, my YouTube and my Instagram handles are right there and also in the description below. Otherwise, again, my name is Herman and I'll see you guys in the next one.
This product bundle is amazing because it has 20 different packs in it, starting with our flagship product, ePrism. ePrism are these digital lens distortion filters that will completely breathe new life into your footage. These filters break up your footage in these very creative, artistic ways, and they're basically the digital version of the physical prism lens filters that you see on music video sets these days being placed in front of the camera. If you don't hear anything else in this video, downloading these 2 packs of ePrism, Volume 1 and Volume 2, will be the best thing that you've ever done to your editing workflow. Next, we have 3 volumes of this cinematic titles pack. I'm talking about 30 beautiful cinematic intro titles that are just text mogarts, and they're ready right now to be dragged and dropped into your next project. They're easy to use, they're very lightweight in your timeline, and they're easily customizable. Next, we have the CRT titles pack. This pack is really special because it has the ability to put a brilliant, realistic looking CRT effect onto literally any random piece of footage that you throw at it, whether it be a title, a logo, a photo, a video, anything. It's like magic. Next, we have the 50 text animations pack. This pack allows you to transform your ordinary text into an engaging spectacle with these incredible animated text mogarts. Just pick your favorite font, then drag and drop the mogarts into your timeline, and it's as easy as that. Next, we have the 100 track matte transitions pack. This is literally going to be the lightest effects pack that you will ever download in the history of Premiere Pro. This pack is really amazing for fast-paced edits like music videos. Next included are 3 light leak packs. We have Bloom, we have Light Opal, and we have Sea Glass. These packs include dozens and dozens of light leak overlays that you can put over your footage to make them look pristine and beautiful. Next, we have the VHS glitch pack. This pack gives you the most realistic VHS effects that you're going to find on the internet because it's not simply a VHS overlay. This pack actually lifts up and distorts your footage like a real VHS player would. If you want that authentic VHS look, this is the only pack that you're going to want. These next two packs are amazing. I'm talking about the TV screens and the computer screens pack. These packs are essentially just Mogarts of TVs and computer screens that you can put right in your Premiere Pro timeline and insert literally any piece of footage that you want into them. I usually use TV screens a lot for music videos, either for performance shots or for B-roll, and I use the computer screens pack a lot for promo videos or corporate videos. Guys, the next two packs are even more crazy. We have the podcast video template as well as the reaction video template. These packs allow you to elevate your podcasts and your reaction videos with our versatile and easy to use Mogart templates. In these templates, you're able to customize all the text, the backgrounds, the stroke color. You're able to quickly switch from a 16:9 to a 9:16 format for those social media edits. And lastly, they've been safe zone tested. And guys, don't forget that there are 20 total packs in this bundle, and I've only mentioned a couple of them. If you were to buy all these packs individually, they'd be totaling up to over $700. But again, right now, you're gonna be able to get all of them for one single price, $59. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This is the end of our 1 hour Premiere Pro transition tutorial compilation.